President Park Geun-hye has promised to find out what's behind the National Intelligence Service's election scandal. A glitch at Incheon International Airport took down ticketing and luggage systems for over an hour, resulting in delays and angry customers. And Thursday marked Makgeolli Day. Find out how the government hopes to reignite a sluggish Makgeolli export market. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Friday, November 1st. I'm Luke Clary. President Park Geun-hye says she's determined to root out the truth behind the NIS scandal in line with principles of democracy, warning others against drawing premature conclusions.
President Park Geun-hye publicly expressed her opinion on the latest political issues. She said that the principles of democracy remain unchanged and that she personally did nothing to arouse suspicions. But she pledged to find the truth regarding the spy agency scandal and reprimand the government officials who meddled in the last presidential election.
요즘 민주주의에 대한 얘기가 많이 있습니다. 저는 정치를 시작한 이후 민주주의의 원칙을 지키고 정당 민주화를 위해서 노력해 왔습니다.
The president vowed to make government agencies and public officials maintain political neutrality and improve the way elections are held in the nation to prevent similar incidents in the future. Park also openly criticized the opposition, saying that the public will not be swayed by public stunts that mislead them.
사법부의 판단을 정치권이 미리 재단하고 정치적인 의도로 끌고 가는 것은 바람직하지 않다고 생각합니다.
The Soundbite party lauded the president for her remarks as appropriate in preventing the scandal surrounding the National Intelligence Service from becoming the subject of political strife. The Democratic Party, for its part, urged the president to apologize to the public for hampering the investigation into the scandal.
Lawmaker Ahn Cheol-soo, a prospective candidate in last year's presidential election, has soared back into the headlines with the news that he will form his own political party, but not without controversy.
Independent lawmaker Ahn Cheol-soo is gearing up to form a new party. Ahn and his associates are currently working on the party's name, color, and policies. They are reportedly planning a small but efficient party, which would operate under a collective leadership system. Ahn's lawyer, Kim Tae-sup, said many efforts are being made to gain political strength. A separate meeting with former lawmakers and civilians will also be held to help with the reformation of the political circle. Former moderate lawmakers of the ruling and opposition parties are taking part.
새누리당과 민주당의 대결하는 정치를 좀 넘어서는 새로운 정치 문화 만들겠다는 운동으로 보시면 되겠죠.
Some of the members are in line with Ahn Cheol-soo regarding hopes for new politics. There are also movements to suppress Ahn's influence. Lawmaker Hong Young-pyo, a former member of Moon Jae-in's camp during last year's presidential election, claimed in his book that Ahn withdrew his candidacy in the election as he was expected to lose to Moon. Ahn's side has not responded to the statements, even though they are not pleased with it. Some Democratic Party members are concerned that such moves will split up the opposition forces.
Incheon International Airport is one of the busiest in the world. Ticketing and luggage systems have to run like clockwork, but they were paralyzed for over an hour yesterday, causing major delays.
Passengers at Incheon International Airport stand in long lines in front of check-in counters early in the morning. The airport's computing system, which is used to issue tickets and process luggage, was paralyzed for more than an hour. This was caused by a technical glitch in the iMuse system that connects airlines using the airport's computers to their own systems. When such problems arise, airport authorities cannot find out the cause of the problem on their own. Technical issues in the system can only be resolved remotely by the U.S. company that developed it. So far, numerous glitches have occurred in the system and are highly likely to occur in the future. The Incheon International Airport Corporation has developed its own system that will replace the current one.
외상이다 보니까 장애 지원이 너무 늦고 그래서 국산화를 하게 되면은 국내에서 바로 즉각적인 대응이 가능하기 때문에.
The domestic system, however, is currently operated on a pilot basis at 20 check-in counters and will only be installed in the remaining ones later this year. Until then, more glitches are likely to occur, causing inconvenience to airlines and passengers.
Just as President Park Geun-hye prepares for an expected visit to Great Britain next week, the Prime Minister had some kind words for South Korea's political and economic success in a recent address.
Korea was mentioned as a successful example at the Open Government Partnership Conference in London, with around 1,000 participants attending from 60 countries. In his opening speech, British Prime Minister David Cameron said President Park Geun-hye will visit Great Britain next week and praised the country for its economic prosperity and democratization.
Whose president, I'm delighted, is coming to the United Kingdom next week. South Korea is a beacon of light, literally and metaphorically. The fourth largest economy in Asia.
Cameron even quoted specific statistics about Korea. For example, he noted how the average lifespan of Koreans is 81 years. He also pointed out the extreme gap between South and North Korea, elaborating how terrible the situation is in the North.
The other, of course, is a closed, backward economy, and that is underpinned by a closed, corrupt, secretive dictatorship. Decisions taken behind closed doors.
The Prime Minister added that the open government system used in Equatorial Guinea, Zimbabwe, Cuba, along with North Korea had failed, and stressed that transparent politics and an open economy were the key to South Korea's success.
Reflecting hundreds of changes advised by the Education Ministry, 7 Korean history textbook publishers have relented by announcing self-revised editions of their books.
The 7 textbook publishers suggested revising 623 parts of their books. That's around 50 more than the Education Ministry's recommendation of 578. Most of the ministry's advised corrections were accepted, but the publishers also made 88 more on their own. The modern history section, which was disputed as being left-wing, will also be modified. All the publishers will make revisions on the period of the Japanese Army's sex slavery. Adjustments will also be made on North Korea's Juche ideology and phrases that might misconstrue the South as responsible for dividing the two Koreas. However, the publishers didn't accept 66 of the advised modifications. Such include the omissions of photos of the Japanese occupation and North Korea, as well as descriptions of Pyongyang's land reform. It's now the Education Ministry's turn to make the final decision. The ministry even planned to have its minister order the corrections. But as all modifications must be completed by the end of November, the ministry will first review the publisher's revisions.
Smog, often rolling in from China, may contain toxic chemicals and hazardous heavy materials. The Environment Ministry monitors the smog in real time, but doesn't share the results properly.
Heavy metals contained in fine dust found in the air are analyzed in real time. An automated analysis system that can measure 27 kinds of heavy metals has been operating since early this year. KBS had asked the Ministry of Environment to present data on air pollution that was collected in real time on October 29th, but the ministry turned down the request. China's smog also caused severe air pollution in Korea back in January and July. On July 29th, fine dust density in the Seoul metropolitan area exceeded 150 micrograms, which is 1.5 times the amount recorded on October 29th, while the amount of lead in the air was at least 16 times the normal level. But the Environment Ministry did not disclose the data to the public. As a result, citizens thought of the smog as a mere fog and were inhaling the toxic pollutants.
대기염이 심해졌을 때 어떤 구성 성분들이 건강에 악영향을 미치는지에 대한 정보를 빨리 공개해서 국민들이 건강을 보호할 수 있는 행동을 할 수 있도록.
Smog in China continues to become worse, but the authorities are holding back the real-time data on air pollution.
Yesterday was Makgeolli Day, commemorating the traditional Korean rice wine in an effort to help globalize the spirit for the last 2 years. New events aim to reignite the spark in Makgeolli.
This Makgeolli factory once exported over 12,000 boxes of the wine each month to Japan. Shipments have dwindled to a third of that level in 2 years. With the drop in sales, the company had to lay off 6 workers. Strained ties between Korea and Japan, and most critically, the weak Japanese yen, have dealt a blow to Makgeolli exports. Exports exceeded 52 million US dollars 2 years ago, which dropped by 30% last year. Shipments are down to half this year. Moreover, domestic consumption has also declined after peaking 2 years ago. As such, the government has rolled up its sleeves. Rice wine is being made from newly harvested rice from around the nation. Seoul even invited the French agriculture minister and exchanged Korea's Makgeolli with traditional French wine. The government is also promoting the drink in the heart of Japan. It's appointed a famed Japanese chef as its PR ambassador to cook up the best dishes that go with makgeolli.
旨味があるんですよ。だから僕は時々ね、マッコリなんかも時々使うんですけどね。
The makgeolli industry is also working to boost domestic consumption by attaching stickers on the bottles that say the product was made with fresh rice harvested this year.
It's a familiar scene, firefighters calling in the situation through walkie-talkies or transceivers. But a new smartphone-enabled system could help revolutionize emergency response.
The rescue scene is always a highly tense and urgent situation. A firefighter turns on a smartphone application to call for rescue.
상황실 여기 지훈사거리 환자 발생 구급차 출동 바랍니다.
People in the situation room receive the message on a smartphone.
예, 알겠습니다. 조금만 기다려주세요. 구급차 보내드리겠습니다. 재훈사거리 환자 발생, 주한 6 출동하세요.
The Incheon Fire and Safety Management Department is the first in the country to develop a smartphone safety management system. Using the smartphone app, anyone can ask for urgent assistance during emergencies. Even the precise location of the person calling for help is transmitted to the situation room. Unlike the transceivers, smartphones are not restricted by distance, and by using the phone's camera, real-time images can also be delivered. The latest system is expected to be utilized in major international events, including the 2014 Incheon Asian Games.
아시안 게임에는 저희가 각종 안전 요원과 자원봉사자를 포함해서 15,000명가량 운영을 할 예정입니다.
Authorities will expand the system nationwide as soon as it's completed with final complementary measures.
Despite rapid advances in technology, the retro look is gaining ground. Many modern-day people yearn for the warmth and comfort of nostalgic things.
The popularity of all things retro has spread to every facet of life. Sales of nickel-silver saucepans popular decades ago have surged 16% from last year. Over 350,000 scrub towels were sold in just 3 months after being repackaged in vintage style.
부모님 생각도 나고요. 옛날 생각 많이 나죠.
정감 간다고 해야 되나? 새 제품인데도 옛날 썼던 기억이 있으니까 약간 손때 묻은 기분 있고 더 반갑고 좀 그래요.
There are many factors behind the return of retro.
두 가지 측면에서 볼 수 있습니다. 경기가 불황이고 침체기일수록 소비자들은 중저가 제품에 대한 가격에 대한 민감과 함께 실용적인 알뜰 제품들 구매하려는 성향이 높아진다는 거죠. 또 하나는 심리적인 측면을 볼 수 있습니다. 어린 시절의 그런 추억, 또 우리가 과거에 들었던 제품과 보고 들었던 그런 브랜드, 이런 것들을 통해서 마음이 위로받고 따뜻해짐을 느낀다는 거죠. 이런 것들이 경기 침체기와 맞물려서 소비자의 구매 욕구를 자극시키는 겁니다.
We visit a traditional market in Seoul where all kinds of unique, old-fashioned knickknacks are sold. This spot grew a reputation among retro fans through word of mouth. Today, it's packed with browsing customers. From gramophones to irons to record players, this place has it all.
불과 한 5, 6년 전만 해도 거의 다 40대 중반, 50대 이상 분들이 저희 시장을 찾아줬는데, 요즘은 이제 둘러보시면 알지만 유치원생들까지도 저희 시장은 단체로도 많이 견학도 오고 와서 전통문화 체험이라는 무료 체험 코스도 있습니다.
This busy homemaker says her love of old-fashioned things brings her here at least once a week.
앤틱이나 오래된 물건들을 굉장히 좋아하는데요. 그래서 일반 다른 데 가서 사면 굉장히 비싼데 이쪽 풍물시장에 오면 굉장히 싼 가격에 좋은 물건을 고를 수 있어서.
She invited us into her home where she shows off the day's payload. Her home is full of old-fashioned things. You'll even find furniture used during the Korean War. It holds up its charm even after all these years.
파시는 분이 한 50년 정도 됐다고 얘기하시더라고요. 그리고 이 푸르나는 이 목장의 이름이래요. 그래서 푸르나 목장에서 가져왔다고.
There's also an old sewing machine and bread box.
한 5분의 1 정도의 가격으로 사서 내가 사용한다면 충분히 그 가치는 하는 걸로 생각이 들어요.
Old-fashioned things will likely keep a special place in our hearts, especially in the face of a tough economy as we recall the joys of bygone days.
And now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. We'll see you at the same time on Monday. Have a great weekend.